Hi everybody, and welcome back to Insights HQ, where we aim to spread knowledge and encourage continuous self-improvement. Part 1 of these series focused on tips and strategies on how to get started and to stay ahead. Building blocks of a standout resume is part 2 of a 5-part series of Hire Ready, where we will dive into the do's and don'ts of writing an effective standout resume. Now, did you know that recruiters are 2.9 times more likely to pick a candidate with a 2-page limited resume? That a resume longer than 2 pages could set off 17% of hiring professionals? Or that 1 in 5 hiring managers spend less than 30 seconds reviewing a resume? Keeping those fantastic statistics in mind, I'm looking forward to speaking to all of you about the building blocks of a standout resume. My name is Sifat Yusuf, and I've been working in research, development, and management for 8 years now. I spent a significant portion of that time in recruitment and hiring, including most recently working as a program manager for a not-for-profit employment services organization called Access Employment in Toronto, Canada. Now, some of these tips may seem simple to you, but you'd be surprised how important the basics are. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how to structure a resume, along with some basic do's and don'ts that will help you to avoid some common resume errors. The importance of a well-written resume cannot be stressed enough, as it is the basic backbone that recruiters and hiring managers will refer to in order to better understand you as a candidate. I hope that by going over these fundamentals concepts on this video, you will get an edge in order to secure an interview, which is the next step in achieving your professional career. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I want to start by talking about choosing the right resume format and what goes into the resume. In general, there are 3 formats of resumes: chronological, functional, and hybrid. The ideal version that you should use is chronological. This version lists out your work experience and education from the latest to earliest. A well-formatted resume consists of some important sections, such as professional summary. Specific to the job that you're applying for, the professional summary should not be more than 4 to 5 sentences that really talk about your technical skills and any projects that you've worked on. Education section. As you progress, you may continue to include more if needed. Additionally, should you go on to have more certificates, this can also be included as they pertain to the job application. Refer to our first video that talks about preparatory steps that you can take to develop your resume. Work experience. This is the most important section. So for each experience that you have, and it can be as many or limited to the needs of the job application that you are going forward with, try not to exceed more than 4 bullet points, keeping them specific to the requirements of the advertised job description. Also keep in mind when talking about your work experience to mention the job title, the organization that you were affiliated with during that, and the time period as well. Whenever possible, also try quantifying your achievements. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that when we go further along in this video. The other one is the skills section. Now, this section can build out on some of the more technical buzzwords and requirements needed by the hiring manager, such as project management, communications, or marketing and advertising, just to name a few. This should be customizable and highlight skills you have that are aligned with the job requirements. It should build upon what you have mentioned throughout your entire work experience by highlighting key aspects. It can talk about your hard skills as well as soft skills, and don't make it too much for either, because you don't want to clutter your resume. You can also talk about language and IT skills, such as any softwares that you are familiar with using. The final section should be your reference section. Now, this section can take up a lot of space, and nowadays we leave this as list can be provided upon request. Usually 2 references are enough for a fresher. Now, this should be either your personal advisor, your academic supervisor, or a thesis supervisor, along with anyone else in your faculty who you may have developed a strong relationship with. If you completed an internship or a co-op, consider including the name of your supervisor there as well. Next, I want to cover some basic do's, things you should definitely be doing when you are structuring your resume. Always check your grammar and spelling. There are many online tools that you can use to help you with this, including Grammarly. You may also get someone to review your CV if you do not know how to use any software. Keep it short and concise. Studies have shown that HR and hiring managers do not look at your resume for more than a handful of seconds before moving on. So an ideal resume should never exceed 2 pages. Keep it short and simple. Use action words and quantify your accomplishments. Many times people use vague terms such as highly motivated or have good organizational skills. Now, anyone can say that they have great organizational skills, but it's always good to put an example of it on your resume. So, if we talk about organizational skills as an example, what you can say is something more specific, like organized and coordinated the delivery of a national level event with 100 attendees from government ministries, INGOs, and donor agencies. See what I did there? The same applies to any tangible skill you wish to talk about when applying for specific jobs. Additionally, you should echo some of the similar language and descriptive words used in the job description, as that will draw the attention of the hiring manager and pique their interest. Use consistent formatting. Make sure that your resume is visually not too crazy. Typically, recruiters prefer a document or PDF format, so ensure that spacing, font size, and text alignment are all correct. As a rule of thumb, size 12 times New Roman or Calibri body are always preferable. In addition, it is best practice to read thoroughly for instructions, as the recruiters can sometimes tell you what type of format, sizing, and page length they want, along with the names of the submission file as well. Next, I want to talk about some basic don'ts, things that you should 100% avoid when writing your resume. Having an objective section. Instead of having an objective section, you should use a professional summary section where you can showcase what you know and interest recruiters further to go through the rest of your resume. The more advanced degrees you have, you can consider removing high school, HSC, SSC, OA levels, or IB results. Focus instead on your bachelor's, master's, or PhD as you continue progressing with your education. Including personal information and photos. Unless required, do not put your photos or any type of private information on your resume or your CV. This is how identity theft occurs, and people can abuse this information the more openly you share it. Your age, date of birth, gender, parent's name, NID, blood type, marital status, or any type of personal information is unnecessary to include in the application stage. Using the same resume all the time. This is a basic mistake a lot of people make. Every resume should be tailored to the job that highlights the requested technical skills, knowledge, and expertise. Now, the tips that I have shared with you here today are by no means an exhaustive list. Resume writing and development is an ongoing process, but being familiar with what makes a good resume is the best tool you have to get an interview. It's never too late to start crafting your resume before you graduate. If you haven't already, have a look back at our first video that talks about the steps that you can take to develop your professional profile, and you can use some of those tips. Additionally, in the caption sections of this video, we have included some great resources to help you get a head start. All the best, and shout out your questions in the comment section. Keep following this series of videos as we continue to cover important topics on how we can make yourself hire ready. Our next video will talk about another important component of the application phase, which is cover letters. Tune in again as we discuss tips and strategies on crafting a well-written cover letter.